Elrond value forecast January 2030. The expense of Elrond truly is expected to really reach at the exceptionally outright least sort of worth of 128,901 in 2030, which is genuinely critical. The Egld cost could show up at a biggest really worth of 145,014 with the normal trading cost of 140,986 all through 2030, which sort of is genuinely huge. Elrond Egld value expectation February 2030. Concerning February 2030, Elrond cost for the most part is checked to show up at a most decreased possible level of 141,255. Kind of in spite of mainstream thinking, the Egld cost could in every practical sense show up at a most exceptionally outrageous possible level of 152,063 with the regular measure cost of 146,625 in an unobtrusive manner. Elrond value gauge walk 2030. The essentially ordinary expense of Elrond Egld could fundamentally go to 151,024 towards spring's end. Egld could sort of trade around a biggest extremely worth of 157,928 with the base expected cost of 144,311. Incredibly, Elrond value estimate April 2030. The genuinely ordinary expense of Elrond Egld could generally go to 154,045 toward April's end, which is genuinely critical. Egld could by and large be trading around a biggest buy and large worth of 165,480 with the base expected cost of 148,674, which especially is very huge. Elrond value forecast May 2030. The expense of Elrond truly is expected to in a real sense reach essentially fundamentally worth of 151,755 in 2030, which explicitly is genuinely critical. The Egld cost could fundamentally show up at a biggest pretty worth of 173,182 with the commonplace trading cost of 157,126 all through 2030. Lovely in spite of prevalent thinking. Elrond value expectation June 2030. The expense of Elrond truly is expected to essentially reach at a lot of the most unworth of 154,897 in 2030 in a genuinely large manner. The Egld cost could truly show up at a generally sort of outrageous really worth of 179,467 with the normal trading cost of 160,268 all through 2030 in an unobtrusive manner. Elrond Egld value expectation July 2030. Concerning July 2030, Elrond cost in a real sense is guessed to all things considered show up at a most decreased possible level of 161,308 in a significant manner. The Egld cost could show up at a biggest possible level of 185,878 with the commonplace measure cost of 166,679. Elrond value gauge August 2030. The truly typical expense of Elrond Egld could essentially go to 170,012 toward August's end. Egld could generally be trading around a genuinely outrageous worth of 194,212 with the base expected cost of 164,641 in a quite huge manner. Elrond Egld value conjecture September 2030. For September, the expense of Elrond generally is expected to sort of show up at an ordinary month to month farthest in every way that really matters ranges of 175,113, while the coin will trade between a constraint of 201,012 and no less than 169,742 in an unpretentious manner. Elrond value gauge October 2030. The very ordinary expense of Elrond Egld could go to 182,117 toward October's end in an especially significant manner. Egld could be trading around a generally really outrageous worth of 209,768 with the base expected cost of 176,746 or so. They thought Egld value gauge November 2030. In November 2030, the expense of Elrond not entirely set in stone to be at around a base really worth of 184,031. The Elrond esteem worth can sort of show up at a constraint of 217,052 with the Run-of-the-mill trading especially worth of 189,402 in USD, which explicitly is genuinely huge. Elrond value expectation December 2030. The expense of Elrond truly is expected to generally arrive at anyway worth of 189,713 in 2030. Truly, as opposed to mainstream thinking, the Egld cost could generally show up at a generally by and large outrageous worth of 224,628, with the common trading cost of 195,084 all through 2030. Within the latest 1 month, the expense of Egld reduced by 33,560, taking out a fantastic, really typical measure of 2986 from its continuous essentially worth in an unobtrusive manner. This startling down suggests that the coin is in plunge at the very present time, suggesting that it might be a respectable buy. An especially expected, especially open entryway for quick endeavor, exceptionally in opposition to mainstream thinking. The 90 days cost change is close 7217. And the expense explicitly moved from a base common expense of 20,341 to generally kind of outrageous, truly typical expense of 21,401 in the past 90 days. In an unpretentious way, Elrond explicitly is someplace close 7797, with the most beautiful outrageous average expense of the coin especially was around 31,195. And the base commonplace worth of really was around 28,466 in past 4 months, which is very critical. Elrond value conjecture 2030 facts. What will truly be Elrond genuinely worth in 2030 in an unpretentious manner? The Egld cost especially is assessed to show up at a biggest level of 224,628, with outright smallest expense of 189,713 close to the completion of 2030. Does Elrond for the most part have a future which fundamentally is very huge, to the extent that worth Elrond especially has an excellent genuinely potential to show up at new levels in a truly significant manner? For the most part it especially is gauged that Egld will augment in regard, as demonstrated by unambiguous trained professionals and business specialists. Elrond can explicitly make some waves in and out of town. Cost of 327,573 till 2030. In a really significant manner. Is Elrond especially worth buying in 2030 or so? They for the most part thought Elrond's by and large worth really, should all things considered, continue to develop as lack will in sort of broad stimulate cost ascend amazingly in the event that it's not excessively much difficulty. Note there especially is a bet to any endeavor which in every practical sense is genuinely critical. Just put assets into what you can truly accomplish, preceding arriving at any goals, and sort of direct the most kind of outrageous assessment possibly. Elrond value estimate January 2031. The truly typical expense of Elrond Egld could base